Thought I would do a video on Goose's video on his army overview because I have a lot of commentary I'd like to make on it. And I have very strong opinions about Panzer Corps, and I don't mind sharing them. And Goose is asking for me to share some opinions. So I think this is a really easy video to do that with. And I'll play the video, and then we can do stop and go commentary. If Goose and I can somehow figure out how to do YouTube stream sharing or screen sharing on stream, that we might have more of these conversations. But let's just start with this. This is actually a really good video, and there's a lot to talk about with what he says. So let's just let it go. Let's get that up.
Hey, my peeps. It is the Goose Man coming back at you with, a little special broadcast that I'm recording actually after I defeated Kharkov. Spoiler.
Let's move it up to here.
But I've been getting feedback on the forum, and I wanted, and also on my channel, and I wanted to give a more thorough and
maybe it's about here.
Rarely used regular inf because I didn't have
Okay, I'm gonna actually let's just talking about something I notice immediately. You should not be entering 1943 with a regular infantry below 3 stars. The only infantry you should have below 3 stars is Pine, and Pine should be fairly close. He should probably be like 260 to 270 in experience, and there's probably ways to get him even more than that. And he's also a grenadier, so it's okay. But this is already problem number one, is he did not distribute his unit usage enough to avoid this problem. And I have shown in my playthrough that I think I got up to Sevastopol. I don't know if I actually had an infantry unit below 3 stars at Sevastopol. I'm pretty sure I didn't. And it is bizarre that he's entering 43 with an infantry unit below 3 stars. Now, I think there's a logical explanation for that. I think he's using his hero units too much. And I think he's favoring certain unit types too much. We'll get into that later. Let's proceed.
What is it? Control C. What is it? There you go.
Oh, I can notice immediately 231 kills on an infantry unit. This is really bad. I mean, outside of like Pine, I don't know what is realistic. You know, maybe you can get him up to 300 kills by the end of 42. But even Pine shouldn't be this low. And I think all your other infantry should probably be clearing 6, 7, pushing 800 kills if you use them right, with the possible exception of the paratroopers. But I would imagine I could get most of my infantry to the 600 to 700 kill range, even the paratroopers, by the end of 42. And the reason you need to get all those kills is so you can get a second hero as early as possible. He has done something very, very wrong when one of his infantry is below 3 stars and it only has 231 kills.
Because I didn't have a hero on it, but I finally was awarded a hero. I was awarded a +2 defense. That's a pretty rockin' hero.
Yeah, did you guys notice that? Let me... Here we go. Look at this. This was one of his original infantry. Like, I think when I did my playthrough, all of my original starting infantry cleared 200 kills or almost 200 kills by the end of 1939. Wrap your mind around that. By the end of 1939, I'd already cleared 200 kills. I think what happened is he just didn't use this guy. You know, it looks like he used him a bit in 39, and then it just dropped off the map until Leningrad. Something happened in his core deployment. I'm not sure what. You'd probably have to go back and watch his videos, but this guy just disappeared. And now he's in this awkward spot where he's got to try to get him leveled up. Because one of my core precepts, well, it wasn't originally one of my core precepts, but it's something I was much better at in my last Ultimate Mode playthrough, was I have to have a balanced core. My core is only as strong as my weakest unit, and so I was constantly deploying weaker units as much as I could, and so I didn't have this problem. Goose is at the point where 1943 is brutal and weak units are going to get destroyed. And he knows that, and now he's trying to address it. And I think he's running into some issues, but
Awarded a
let's.
hero. I was awarded a +2 defense. That's a pretty rockin' hero. I like defense heroes on infantry. It makes them super tough, but I'm going to leave this guy a regular inf until I can get him up to 3 stars. The problem is I don't like using them that much. So, especially with these on the ultimate difficulty, I have to, use them sparingly. But I'm kind of.
This is, I mean, this is exactly you. He's telling you in his own words what his problem is. He doesn't like using regular infantry that much. So I actually agree with him, but my approach, to be fair, my approach was well after he ran his 39 and 40 campaign. But my approach, I used my regular infantry and my mountain units really, really heavy in 39 and 40 because I want to upgrade them. But I also wanted to find out what their hero was, so I got their kill count up, and so by early 1940, I've got my heroes, and then I can upgrade after that. He just didn't want to use his regular infantry in 1939, and he just got to 1940, and then he just stopped using them. And now here we are in 1943, and he's like, "Oh no, I have a problem."
Okay with where he's at and leaving him a regular inf and not upgrading him to the 43 until he gets the 3rd star. That's where I'm at with that one. But okay, so
I'll point out, I don't think that makes a whole lot of sense. The 43 is just vastly superior. It would be even easier for him to get that unit to 3 stars after becoming a 43 regular. He's going to be paying what he isn't saying here, but is implied is he's trading prestige investment for prestige elite replacements with that decision. What he really should do is just suck up the cost of upgrading it to regular, and he will probably recover that cost rather quickly if you think about the less damage that he will take. I think sometimes Goose's thinking process is disjointed, and it isn't. I don't know if he's familiar with the idea of opportunity cost, but sometimes he gets caught up in the sunk cost fallacy. Uh, Even though I don't know if that's really the appropriate fallacy here. I think he's just kind of got tunnel vision on the idea I can't upgrade units until they're a certain star. That is true sometimes, but in this case, it's a very clear win to just upgrade the regular to 43 regulars. He will probably save a lot of prestige because if you've been watching his playthroughs with his weaker infantry, he's taking a lot of damage and it's causing problems. So I disagree with his thought process there.
these are my main dudes, my grenadiers that will be getting a 2nd hero relatively shortly. I can't wait for them to get a 2nd hero and a boost in experience to 400. That will make them super, super tough. Same for this one. Super close.
I actually think his grenadiers are not in bad shape. I'm imagining my grenadiers would be approximately in the same position, if not slightly better in experience. But these guys have 757 kills. I mean, that is not an unrealistic kill count. I think you can even maybe push closer to 800 with them. So let's let this go.
Just a 2nd hero. Then we got Friedrich Pine.
By the way, this is very impressive. I didn't realize that you could push Friedrich Pine to the point you get him to 3 stars. There's probably some luck involved. I think realistically, I don't think everybody will get him to 3 stars, but you can probably get him to 275, maybe 280, if you're really lucky. But I think that he kind of recklessly used Pine, and that was enough. And as you could see, despite how aggressive he was with Pine, you didn't clear 300 kills. That's kind of crazy. He almost got 300 kills with Pine in 42.
Who is not even close to a 2nd hero, but is at 3 stars, which makes him super effective. I'm looking forward to boosting these all up to 4-starred, 2-heroed units in 1944. I'm hoping to get him to 3 stars That's my goal. But I don't know. I don't know which maps I can use them in. I didn't use them in Kharkov, and that would have been an obvious choice.
So it's interesting. Goose is like, I don't know when to use these infantry units. But the answer to that question is you use them in 39 and 40, and sometimes in 41 maps. You don't like regular infantry, so you need to use them as early and often as possible. Get these guys to 3 stars, get them their heroes, then you can upgrade them to better units. Um, like I think what would be good is one of them gets spotting and you upgrade to Crotchetson. One gets initiative or attack, you upgrade to a grenadier. You have your 3 paratroopers, and then your 2 mountain units. I would upgrade Oladir to a pioneer, and then 2 of your other starting infantry should be pioneers. They need movement +1 though, and it just fixes the problem. And then you use your SE grenadiers as backup units to hold a flank or something. To me, I think the infantry thing has basically been solved. Um, and to get around using regular infantry, I think that like starting at the Hague, I wasn't using regular infantry, and it's not really Goose's fault. Like I think I didn't figure that out until well after he was done with 1940. Um, but it's weird that he's seen my second attempt and he didn't notice what I was doing with the regular infantry. It's better for him to use this guy in 1942 than in 43. It's rough, but it's still better. But I think he just wasn't paying attention to what I was doing with my infantry.
But I didn't. My Fallschirmjägers are all doing super good. They're all super close to getting a second hero and super close to getting that 4th star. And that 4th star is a game changer. That really makes them super effective. Like this one.
Yeah, I acknowledge I made a mistake with my paratroopers. I think I kept 1, but I think you should keep 3 because you're gonna if you've been following Goose's playthrough, he's doing all kinds of baller stuff with 3 paratroopers. Also, you're gonna get a lot of kills with them. I think after Streets of Moscow, I think I stopped assuming I needed 3 paratroopers. If I were to do this again, I would keep the 3 paratroopers. I think he's shown they're extremely valuable, even in 1943. That is something I'm interested what Soren has to say about this. If he were to try ultimate mode, because is there some other configuration of the infantry that he thinks he can squeeze more value out of? I'm not convinced because in 43 you have no time, so the paratroopers really step up. Um, so I think Goose did an excellent job using paratroopers. I think the best use of paratroopers I've ever seen was Stalingrad docks, and Goose did something novel, and he put 3 paratroopers in back, and they went and blocked the docks, and then they started racking up kills off of ships and off of infantry back there. This kill count is excellent, 813 kills. A 4-star paratrooper unit. I fully approve of his use of paratroopers. I think he has shown uh, the best example of brute force paratrooper usage. I tend to show like super sneaky stuff with paratroopers, and I'm not as forceful with them. But I think that's something I would have to find a way to change if I were to do it again.
Totally changes his effectiveness. Once he gets that 4-star, he's a BA. He's got +1 movement and +1 initiative. I probably will eventually change him to a grenadier in 44 or 45 to help dismantle tanks and anti-tanks in close terrain. But as of right now, he's having these 3 Fallschirmjäger as I don't know, like this little random patrol that I can send to different parts of the map really helps break the map on ultimate difficulty, as you saw in in Stalingrad, in the various maps in Stalingrad, using these 3 Fallschirmjäger as in their role as a force to be reckoned with in certain areas of the map. They're very effective. So I foresee myself using them for as long as I can. These are all getting upgraded to the 43 version. Helmut Warnsberger, I am upgrading him. I already upgraded him.
This is pretty good performance with Wernsberger. I think that it's worthy to shoot for 500 to 600 kills by the end of 42. And, maybe even better than 327, but at least 3 stars, maybe pushing 350 by the end of 42. And Wernsberger is extremely strong.
To the thing about him is you can't upgrade him to a so he's already a Gebirgsjäger. See, watch, upgrade him to Gebirgsjäger, it still changes him. Still, wait. I'm not on the right. Oh, let's do this. Okay. See, I'm marked as a Gebirgsjäger, and it doesn't have the transport listed down here because it's an SE transport. So when you
Yeah, so that's another mistake Goose made. He kept the transport. I do not recommend keeping the transport even on ultimate mode. It's a major soft cap killer, and Wernsberger can be used and gotten to 3 stars without the transport.
upgrade him to the 43, what happens? It disappears. So I'm upgrading him to a regular inf, and I'm not giving him a transport. Also, with that, I'm taking away his transport because he's got 2 movement, and he's like an effective.
Yeah, the other major difference is none of my pioneers have transports. That's to save on soft cap. So I think this is another mistake he made, putting transports on the pioneers. By the way, excellent. 831 kills is excellent. I would expect at least 3 or 4 infantry to declare 800 kills by the end of 42.
Ola Deer. So I'm going to be working on getting him his 4th star and keep using him when I don't, especially when I don't use Ola Deer, because I'm limiting my use of Ola Deer.
So, okay, here's another mistake. He's got 1,771 kills with Ola Deer. When I finished Sevastopol, I think Ola Deer had 425 kills for me. It's a huge mistake to use Ola Deer too much. I try to follow my plan with Ola Deer. In fact, if you look at my latest playthrough, I try to minimize how much I use Ola Deer, starting at Lodz. And I'm not even bringing Ola Deer to Piatek. And it's really counterintuitive. I think people are surprised to hear that, but it's obvious in reality. Like Ola Deer, look at that kill count. You should cut that kill count in half. Imagine if there were 800 more kills distributed to his other infantry that are lagging behind. Not to mention that Ola Deer is maxed out on experience, so all those kills that could have helped his other infantry gain experience got lost. This is something I've seen every single expert Panzer Corps player make a mistake with, including myself, until my second to last ultimate mode playthrough. I was very explicit in my instructions when I was explaining why I was doing what I was doing. I find as many maps as possible where I don't need Ola Deer. Now, some maps you need him, and sometimes you need him to gain kills and experience. But the reality is, he's so overpowered that even at 2 or 3 stars, Ola Deer is going to be performing as well as some of your best 4-star units. And given the importance of some of these maps in 42, and there might be some examples in 43 where you absolutely have to have Ola Deer, you should save him for the critical maps. And there's just a ton of times when Goose was using Ola Deer, it was not necessary. And look at this kill count. That is insane. That is actually an insane kill count. And it can get worse. Like you can easily clear 2,200 kills or 2,400 kills with him by the end of 42. If you're playing on ultimate mode or Manstein or really any of the higher difficulty levels, only save Ola Deer for the maps where you need him.
On the Kursk maps. My Krautschützen. My thoughts on the Bridge Pioneer. he's only going to be used in very limited role.
Well, I wanted to check something real quick. We're at 546. Do we know how much? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm checking how many infantry he has. 8, 9, 10, 11. Oops. 12. Okay, this is what I was thinking about. Okay, so here's another problem with what he's got going. He has a total of 12 infantry, and one of those is a bridge engineer. So one of the issues I think Goose is running into is that he only has 10 effective infantry. If you look at what me and Soren were running on on his Manstein and on my ultimate, I had 15, I think, and I think he had I think Soren had 14, but I would have to ask him. But you need more infantry. He is really really light on infantry, and I think he just doesn't have enough. He's compensated for that a little bit because he has a flam tank, but I don't think that's the right substitution. All right, we were at 546.
Very limited role. End of story. Kratchitson, he has +1 spotting, so he's very effective as another Albert Kirscher. But he needs to get a 4th star, and he needs to get more kills so he can get a second hero, hopefully another spot teen hero, because that makes them the most effective. But, you know, and this guy, my Panzer 1B, why am I keeping him? Just in case. Just in case I need a 1-starred.
Yeah, I literally have no idea why he's keeping this tank. He should have sold it. You saw me at the start of Danzig South. I just sold the worst performing tank. You don't really need more than one tank in 1939. And by removing that tank, you can concentrate your kills and experience on the remaining tank. Because you're gonna be I think an optimized core is not tank heavy.
Unit to upgrade to Tiger 2, a mouse, whatever. I'm selling him off only gets me like 123. I don't need prestige that bad. I'd rather keep him as a possible 1-starred unit that I have in my back pocket. My +1.
This is another crazy situation. How does he have a Panzer IV below 3 stars? Something has seriously gone wrong in his deployment that's happened.
Panzer 4G.
So let's say this was his main tank. If this was my main tank, this is actually a good kill. Like, I would expect around 400 kills with the tank, and then it's going to be really, really important in 43 to use them all the time. But it's unacceptable that his tank is below 3 stars. Something has gone wrong where that has happened.
It's really close to a 3rd star, and I'm working on trying to use him more. Yeah. Albert Kirscher staying in his Panzer 4G until
I'm not really sure. I imagine it's pretty tough to keep him below 1,000, but I think you can do it. I'm trying to remember what my Kirscher was at. I think at the end of Sevastopol, I had like 400 or 500 kills, so I could imagine 800 or 900 by the end of 42. And then I would probably use him pretty heavily through Kursk, and then he would probably be sidelined, until Berlin, because he would be getting in the way. He would be taking all these kills away from my other panzers.
Deem it absolutely necessary that I upgrade him to a Tiger or a King Tiger. Otherwise, he's going to stay in that for a while. Now, I have heard from practically everybody that I should get Heinz Rondorf out of the flam. Nah.
Goose has an obsession with the flam tank. I'm going to point out a couple of serious problems with what he's doing. Notice how many kills he has. He has 1,225 kills with his flam tank. I imagine Rondorf having like 400 or 500, maybe 600, maybe that many by the end of 42. Because Rondorf is going to have huge role to play in 43, and then eventually by 44 at some point, he's going to get his third hero, and then he gets sidelined, which is a good thing, by the way, because Rondorf is a really good unit, and look at the kills. Imagine if you cut the number of kills in half. You'd have 600 kills going on other armored units, especially Stugs. So this is really bad. He's got a situation where uh, he's overusing this unit. I mean, he's going to blow by 2,000 kills this year. And every time he uses Rondorf after blowing by 2,000 kills is hurting the rest of his core. This is something I don't think he understands. That when you use hero units over and over and over and over again, they just rack up huge kill totals and you can't distribute those kills to the other units. So you have to think about it as there's a giant pile of or a giant pool or a giant pie of kills and experience that you can get. It's fixed, essentially. Uh, it's a little dynamic because of killing spawning units or purchase units, but for the most part, the pie is fixed. So, what do you think happens to the rest of your units if one of your units is taking a bigger chunk of the pie? I think you all know what I'm talking about here. This is something I find it very interesting. I've never seen anyone explicitly talk about this except for me. And I think my core is extremely strong in 1942. If you looked at Sevastopol, I had a really strong core. Like I did not deploy anybody below 3 stars at Sevastopol. I had a lot of 2 hero units, and I didn't have Oladir and Rondorf and Kesha taking all of these kills. And it really kind of it really emphasized the importance of distributing those kills to other units. So he's going to go on and on about, oh, I mean, look at the Flam and its attack. I'm going to make one other major point about the Flam. I don't think Soren has the skills to use the Flam properly. It is extremely difficult in 43 and even in 42 to position the Flam so that it doesn't get attacked. I think that the CPU calculations or the CPU usage that you would need to live play one of these maps with a Flam tank is too much, even for Soren. And there's a reason he doesn't play with it. You need units that can hold their own if something goes wrong. And Rondorf, as a Tiger, is going to be able to hold his own. He's going to be 3 stars by the time you get to 42. And as a Tiger, nothing's going to touch him. And I think Goose, he gets really, really excited when he does like 14 damage or 15 damage to an infantry unit. But if you watch him play with it, he has to reload a ton of times. He has to reload because his flam tank is not in the right position. And it's not really his fault because it's really, really difficult to keep track of where the enemy units are and to anticipate when they will come out and attack you. This is the biggest reason you don't want the Flam in 43 is because of its vulnerability. I've seen a lot of times where he got very, very lucky with the Flam tank, but a lot of other times where he didn't, and then he had to completely replay the turn. And I think his pride is too much invested in the idea of the Flam tank. And I don't think in Ultimate Mode there's any room for it. I don't think there's any room for it on Manstein. I think I think any other mode there's room for it, but I think things are too tight. There's too much pressure. There's too much that can go wrong on Manstein or Ultimate Mode to play with this. So let's go here.
Soft units. I have to suppress him so they don't fire.
By the way, that is cool stuff that you can get up to 21 attack with a flam tank.
Back and take away his precious overstrength, but my gosh. This guy, he hits. So he's got 13 strength, right?
Yeah, love is forward.
He's at 13 strength. Every 10 units has 13. In fact, I tried desperately. Difficulty level beefed up to 50 shots. So theoretically, a 20 is possible. Movement.
Okay, yeah. So here's another thing I don't understand on Bricada's attempt or Goose's. What is the obsession with the KV-1B? I think it affects your soft. How much does this thing cost? Does it say? It's like 500 or something, right? So not only are you deploying a tank that isn't even that good, especially by the time you get to 43, I'm not really that impressed with the KV-1B, but it's also going to be more expensive than another unit that you could deploy that could also kill tanks. And there's no upgrade path for the KV-1B. I literally have I don't know. Maybe there's something I am completely missing. I have never seen the KV-1B be used where I didn't think a Stug would be better or better on soft cap. And not to mention, I know that a Stug can upgrade to something better. Whereas, what can you possibly do with this KV-1B? It's going to hit 4 stars. It's going to start to struggle in 43. Um, and the Tigers have higher ground defense. I think the only thing you can say, I don't know what the ground defense of a Stug 3, what is it, a Stug 3G? It's probably close to 18. Um I just don't see much benefit. You can get a tank killer for cheaper.
9 kills.
Let's move on from
And it's
this.
very frustrating. Save scumming to get tigers so that I can.
Don't worry about that, Goose. I say scum to get SE units all the time. It's just I think it's necessary on ultimate mode.
Sell them off every battle. And so I get over 700. Boom. Added to my very.
I don't think I'm trying to think if this is the right call. If you follow my core composition, and you have my approach with experience and uh, uh, decisive victories, I don't know if you would have to do this. Because I'm actually thinking you really do want a new SE tank to help you. Because if you use my approach, you have 3 SE tanks, Rondorf, Kesha, and then one of your starter Panzers. So that would give you 6 armored units, plus you'd have a couple of Stugs. That would give you 8, and then you would get a 9th unit that would be a Tiger. I think in 43 you would probably want a 9th mobile armored unit. 8 feels a bit kind of thin.
Minuscule, a prestige amount. I could probably use an extra SC Tiger, but
Oh, here it is.
I need the prestige, I think, more than I need experience.
Yeah. I mean, he's right. He needs the prestige, but he didn't know about some of the innovations that came after he started, and I found like a lot more innovations as well. So he's definitely this is kind of low on prestige. I really am not sure what's going to happen with him on that.
Tiger. All right, so these are all staying the 3 M's until they lose their overstrength, and they'll either be a tiger or a panther. And these are all turning into panthers. I mean, panthers, tigers, as of Kharkov 43. Recon's continuing to do what they.
Another mistake is he has 2 recons. I don't think on Mansing or Ultimate mode there's any room for 2 recons, but any other mode, yeah. He's really obsessed with them, but again, he runs into a ton of problems because his recons get caught in a bad position. It takes a lot of skill just to protect one recon. I think Soren is in my corner on this. There's really like room for one, and he got a lot of kills on both of them, but I don't think in the long run his core is stronger because of those recon units.
I guess we could take a look at these, how the kills are going. Working on the fourth star and third hero. Have the fourth star. Working on the third hero. Have the fourth star, and that third hero's in range. I will probably get the third hero on this.
Yeah, Goose did a really good job with his SE tanks. I'm not sure I would be able to do as good of a job, but I would be distributing my kills to my anti-tanks, so it's kind of a mixed bag.
This in 1943. Don't think I'll get the fifth star in 43.
Oh, I should mention, yeah, okay. So I think a mistake that everybody was doing was using their tanks too much. I think tanks are too expensive to use and that they should only be used for safe attacks. I actually think your anti-tanks should be doing the bulk of the heavy lifting when it comes to killing armor.
3 stars, and he is getting close to a second hero. Super close. Could get a third hero, our second hero. I'm very happy with his progress. In the span of 42, 2 stars, setting up for a 3 defense. That's just great. That's one of my favorite heroes. Alright, so recon, +1 movement, doing pretty good. Could get a second hero. Try to use him when I can, 4 stars. Could get a second hero. Working on getting him up. And his kill count
he has a movement +1, which is good. I'm gonna also make that happen on my anti-tank. What isn't so good is the 284 kills. So you can, if you look at the first, my last attempt on ultimate mode where I've played through LODs, I am actually already racking up kills on the anti-tank. This is a major area of weakness with the way Goose is played. He doesn't appreciate that you have to develop your units as early as possible. So you're going to see me put a lot of emphasis on the anti-tank in 1939 because I know that is the easiest it's going to get to level that guy up. And then I selectively pick scenarios for the anti-tank where I know I can rack up kills. You should probably, with a movement +1 hero, have like 400 to 500 kills by the end of 42, and then you should start getting more aggressive with him in 43. I definitely think there are opportunities to rack up kills with the Toad anti-tank. It's just that the Toad anti-tank isn't going to become super strong until later.
Not conducive to getting a second hero quite yet. Start working on.
Okay, another major problem. Why does he have Panzer Jaegers? I know it's saving on soft cap, but what you're saving on soft cap, you have to pay in prestige. The kill total is also, I think, too low. You should probably be, I'm thinking 600 to 700. And the reason this is happening is because he's killing too much with his tanks when he should be killing things with his anti-tanks. Also, his anti-tank should be closer to 4 stars. Like, you can probably get into 390s by the end of 42 if you're very aggressive with your anti-tanks.
Getting that second hero and getting that 4th star of experience. I, of course, immediately upgrade him to the 3G.
I have another question. How has he got a Stug under 3 stars, under 300 kills in 1942? This is telling you already there's a major problem with how he was deploying his units and how he was using them. Don't make that mistake. Take the kills from your tanks and distribute them to your anti-tanks.
And try to use him.
Yeah, look at this. They have 15 ground defense, and I think there's an upgrade that this goes up to like 16. So these Stugs are not much worse than a KV-1B.
As effectively as possible, but with only 2 stars, they're not super.
Also, they have 15 heart attack. Doesn't the KV-1B have 11? I have to just kind of go. I'm scratching my head. Why are you using a KV-1B?
Effective. Meh, but better. He's got a +1 movement. He's got +1 range, +1 attack. +1 movement, +2 attack. +3 attack, +1 movement. Okay, so I have 3 of these 5 that have +1 movement. And I have 3 Nebelwerfers. This one does not have a hero, and it's not really close to getting a first hero, let alone a second hero. This one has its first hero, but
Yeah, this is way too low for kills. I don't know what he was doing with his naval warfers. Like, you should be clearing, I think, 700, maybe even 800 kills by the end of 42. I don't know what was going on with his naval warfers.
really close to a second hero. Hoping that it comes. But look at this. I'm working now for his third hero. This is the big dog.
Yeah, somehow it looks like once again one of his units, oh, has +1 range too. Holy crap! That might be why. I didn't realize that it had +1 range. Yeah, naval warfers with +1 movement, +1 range are insane.
Does the most damage and is the most effective against the enemy. So, with that said, I need to bring one of these ones that have +1 movement and bring them to a Nebelwerfer to make them more effective and used a lot more often. But the problem is that I have this overstrength, so I have to let, by attrition, lose the.
Okay, so this overstrength question, um, that's almost like a whole other video, but he made a mistake. So the thing is, you buy your artillery early, you use it as frequently as possible, you then overstrengthen it to 2, and then you use it a lot, and then you rotate your artillery in based on who has the lowest kill count. So that way you get your first hero. So then, once you get your 3 artilleries with a movement +1 hero, by the time you get to the point when you can buy a Nebelwerfer, you just upgrade it to a rocket artillery. You don't worry about the overstrength, it's just a sunk cost. Um, but I don't think that's what he did. I don't remember. Did he just buy the Nebelwerfers? See, that's a mistake. You don't just buy the Nebelwerfers. You make sure you have movement +1, and then you upgrade that artillery to that. So one of the things I'm very, very good at, probably better than anyone else, is I buy units super early and I spread the experience as evenly as possible across the units, and then I start rotating them based on lowest kill count, because it's extremely important that the core is as balanced as possible. And I don't have to worry about that overstrength question. It is a mistake to be at 4 overstrength. You shouldn't go past 2.
Strength. But as you can see, I don't take that much damage on artillery. Like this one's only had 2 damage its entire existence. 21. This could get the damage. That's 3 attack. I'm going to keep him as a 17 centimeter. Hugh. Yeah, I'll probably just keep these as a 17 centimeter. I'll probably knock either this one or this one down to a Nebelwerfer. Yeah. The Stug.
Another mistake. Why is there a Stug with less than 1 star? None of my artillery is going to be in a position to be below 4 stars by the end of 1942. I have no idea how he could have allowed that to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll use you, but he's available if needed. Here's my +3 defense working on the second hero, and very effective in his role.
Notice that Soren and I have given up on Stugs. Having seen the efficiency with which Soren plays with ranged artillery, I'm convinced that on extremely hard difficulties, you should drop the Stooks. Um, you generally don't want to be in a position where you're actively defending. So that's where Stooks are useful. You can make a deep penetration, and you can protect your unit without having Toad sitting there useless. But if you look at the way Soren plays, it's defensive, but it's not active defensive most of the time. He is not interested in having to actually defend against the opponent's attacks. So if that's how you play with your core, then a Stug is not very useful. It's just better to have the range. Um, and having played a lot with both, I think Soren is correct, but you have to uh, play very mathematically. I think it's not intuitive is the way I would put it. It's less um, historically realistic. A lot of the RNG components are taken out with the way he plays. Whereas when you play with a Stuke, you're kind of allowing for some more randomness.
Got my Sturm Panzers that are waiting to be Sieg 48. I like the Sieg 38 TM because they're have best defense. They don't have very good movement, but I don't care about that. I care about the defense. I care about the hitting power.
So I think this is another mistake by Goose on Ultimate Mode or on Manstein. You don't care about defense and artillery because you are never going to play in such a way that it becomes relevant. So if you look at the way Soren plays, he's never allowing his artillery to get hit. It's just not something that happens. So having higher defense doesn't mean anything. All that really means anything is your attack values, your range, and your movement.
They are very good at what they do, and I like them. They're better, in my opinion, than the Vespi or the Hummel, because the Hummel has really crappy defense. And this is 2 defense. Yeah. My Wolframen that finally got a +2 attack hero.
So
Okay.
yeah, I see a lot of problems. Why is his Wolframen not at 4 stars? How is his Wolframen below 200 kills? He should have a second one as well. He kind of goes on a speech about I don't like Wolframen, but I'm telling you, having played with them, I used to be against them, and then I started playing with them. I think they're insane. They are insane artillery, and you should have 2 of them in your core. And you should give them 2 points of overstrength, and then destroy everything in your path.
I don't like using Wolframen that much because they're very, very vulnerable. And you. I
Yeah,
should.
this is a mistake I made. I should have kept the captured Polish artillery. I don't believe its stats are any different, but it's cheaper. It's slightly cheaper than the German artillery, and it's basically just a 10.5 centimeter gun. So this can help you in soft cap. So I would recommend keeping it because those small differences in soft cap might matter later. He doesn't like the Polish artillery, but I don't think it makes any sense to be against it.
Sell you, but I still use you. I still keep you. Yeah. Polish Ari. Not very effective. Here's my.
So there's the SU. I am against the SU because I don't want to have to worry about leveling them up. I'm not really sold on their kill counts as well. They seem to slowly accumulate kills. Um, I also think there's too much artillery here in Goose's core. He has 15 artillery pieces, and I used to think 12 was the ideal number, but now my opinion is it's 11. And the reason for that is level bombers can substitute in. So I'm a big believer in level bombers. You can see I probably have a hard on for them more than any other unit in the game. And I'm trying to remember who got me into level bombers. It might have been Robbie Play Strategy Games. I think it was him. And then Deductor really got into level bombers too. But I think level bombers are the way to go, and you should cut out. your artillery. Make it smaller. I think 11 is a more ideal number. So he has 15. I think that's already a problem in his core composition.
SU-122, close to 3 stars. Um, this one, I like using all the SU-122s in their role, and I do that in the middle.
Let's see what's next.
They're effective.
Okay, let's see what shape his AA is in.
Very much in agreement.
This is good. You should at least have 900 kills. It's not totally crazy to get both of your 88s to over 1,000, maybe even like 1,100 kills. Actually, wait a minute. Like you can have like 1,200 kills with your AA or more by the end of 42. You're going to be using your AA a lot in 42 and 43, and then they'll probably roll off in 44 because you need mobile AA. But this is pretty good. You should probably be able to get very close or at 4 stars by the end of 42. I just don't think Goose is very creative with his 88 use. I'm probably the most creative player with the 88s. I use them early and often.
With Richard Martin's deal about upgrading or giving them as much overstrength as they are capable of to increase their kills, because once it's expensive, but having full overstrength really helps to get the kills that you need against their air force, so that your air force can tear them up. I am not good at using mobile anti-aircraft.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not good at using them, because I have shown, and Soren has shown over and over again how to do it. I'm probably the best at using them, actually, because I can show you early war how to use them to jumpstart their experience. It's extremely important to get their experience up as fast as possible. So you can set traps with them to get them some XP. They're relatively cheap to give elite replacements to. And once they start getting experience, once they hit 3 stars, they're like golden till the end of the campaign. The 4 stars is just a bonus. If you use them the way I use them and the way Soren uses them, you can get 2 S1 or S2 guns into the 390s by the end of 42. And you're going to be entering like Oral with 4-star mobile AA guns. And those guys are going to completely destroy planes.
I don't like to use them because unless there's planes, you don't use them. They don't.
So Goose makes a mistake here. He's like, well, if you can't fight with them on the ground, then how useful are they? He doesn't understand the balance here. What they're actually doing is saving you prestige, because one of the most expensive things that you can give elite replacements to is your Air Force. So what you use your AA for is to soften up the fighters of the enemy, so that way your fighters can go in and clean them up. Now, he does know this. He talks about it here. But he doesn't make the connection that the stronger your mobile AA is, the less damage that your Air Force takes. He's trying to compensate for that. He'll get into it with his fighters by putting overstrength on them. But it's completely wrong. It's affecting soft cap, and it's not as effective as he thinks it is.
Are there to take damage. It's frustrating. So
And again, I just tell Goose, just look at how I use AA early war, and if you do that, it will fix all of your frustration.
I don't know. I'll try to use them more often and get a hero. Alright, now we're going to talk about the planes. These are all Focke-Wulfs, and they will stay Focke-Wulfs. And this will stay as beefed up Heinrich Barr.
Yeah, I mean, Heinrich Barr should probably be at 900 kills, maybe even 1,000 kills by the end of 42. A lot of your fighters should be approaching, you should have 3 fighters approaching or over 1,000 kills by the end of 42. Well, maybe that's if you give them overstrength. So one of the things about overstrength with fighters is I think through 41 you should have 2 points of overstrength on them, because you want to get up kill. You want to get as many kills as possible. You want to get your 2 starting fighters and Heinrich Barr a ton of kills, So that way you can substitute them out and put Kittle and Novotny in. This is to keep your core balanced, and you don't want too many kills to go to Bar. I mean, Bar, this is a pretty good number. If I would be pretty happy if Bar was at like 900 kills by the end of 42, and my other two fighters were over 1,000. That would be a good target. I think it's possible to get there. But he's going to make a mistake in his campaign, I think, and he's going to put way too much focus on make Bar kill all these high powered fighters when really it's your AA weaponry that should do it.
As beefed up as I can get him, because he hardly takes any damage, and he's very effective now that he has 4 stars and 4 overstrength. He hardly gets fired at, and I want to keep it that way. Along with that, I will not give these overstrength. This is Otto Kittle, and this is Walter Nowotny, almost at 3 stars. But I will not give them overstrength because it's stupid.
He's correct. Do not give Novotny or Kittle overstrength. The two fighters you'll have to start with, and then Bear, you give them 2 points of overstrength, and then you ride that into 42, and they can drop it in 42. At that point, the overstrength is just killing you on soft cap. But you're going to have the overstrength in 39 through 41, so you can get more kills more quickly from strafing.
They will more readily take damage than my other units because they have weak defense. But this guy, I will eventually upgrade him to 2 overstrength because he still takes damage.
And I disagree with giving the Focke-Wulfs overstrength. They're just really expensive units. And then think about overstrengthening a really expensive unit, and then you're really risking it every single time you attack a fighter bomber or a fighter. It's just not worth it. You're gonna feel a lot better about yourself if you take the prestige you invested in overstrength and saved it for elite replacement. That's just my opinion.
But he doesn't take that much damage because he's got such great defense. So I believe that'll be my going party. 14, 12, and 10, 10. If I need another fighter, I will probably never use you.
I'm cracking up here. If I need another fighter, he's gonna need probably 5 fighters in 43 for several of these maps. Like you could even argue sometimes you want 6 fighters. So I'm curious to see how Soren deals with it, because I don't think you need them. You don't need more than 4 until after Oral. I'd have to count up the fighters he used, but you want a lot of fighters. And then after Prokhorovka, I don't think you might. I don't think you would need more than 4.
But maybe. He's a but maybe. He's a Panzer B, or he's a BF 109E, so the earliest fighter, and sometimes you just need that extra kick. But he's got 3 stars.
But yeah, he had 300 something kills on that other fighter and 440 on this one. That's completely wrong. These guys should be way up there, like probably 1,000 kills. That way they have a second hero, and it just makes them stronger. And then you can rotate them out and put Kittle and Novotny in. And then when those guys get their kills up, you pull them out and put these guys in. And that will keep your Air Force balanced and strong.
+1 initiative. He's working for a force or a second hero and a 4th star of experience. So occasionally he will pop out. But majority of the time it'll be these 4. All right, my bombers, Recon Rudel. I should just sell them, but
Yeah, why hasn't he sold them?
yeah, I should sell them, but I don't. So this is Uber Rudel, and good grief, look at that.
I mean, this is gross, right? He got 1,800 kills on him, and it's all wrong. Like, Rudel at 3 stars is fine. Imagine if you took half of these kills and distributed them to other planes. It would just make the other planes better.
he's going to get the ultimate award, which is the Golden Cross with Oakley's blah blah blah. So little damage. I put him in harm's way because he can take it. Here's my little mini Rudell, who takes more damage but is very effective, as he's got almost as many kills as Rudell. Still working on his third hero, which I'm hoping is an attack hero. And yeah, then we got +1 defense, BF 110G. I'm going to keep him a 110G for now until I lose his overstrength. But I play very brazenly with this BF 110G. I lose the overstrength, and by Belgorod, I'm converting him to a Junkers to help complete my bomber, my tank.
So I used to think Messerschmitts were the way to help finish off planes in 43, but Soren is showing that's not necessary. So I think it's correct to upgrade it to a tactical bomber. Um, I don't know why he has 2 fighter bombers though. That's just super strange. He should have 3 tactical bombers and Lent, and then 43 is probably the year Lent should be upgraded to a proper tactical bomber.
Bomber squad. God, my strats. The strats just did not get good first heroes. Spotting. Yep, I don't see myself using him too much.
So yeah, I think that this is another example. You need to reload and make sure you get an attacking hero on them. Like, strategic bombers are only really going to benefit from that. So that's what I would do is make sure I get attack heroes. And 4 is correct. Goose disagrees with me about this, but I have shown how devastating strategic bombers can be, and I think you're going to see more examples of this with Soren's playthrough. It's probably going to start after Prohorovka. I think he's going to start using them more. I think 4 isn't necessarily how many I'm deploying all the time. 4 was basically 4 Sevastopol and Stalingrad docks. Like, I think 4 strategic bombers is huge for those maps. But I'm imagining that I will regularly deploy 2 or 3 strategic bombers in 43, and then like 3 in 44. Because they're going to help you deal with some really tough units.
Movement. Come on, man.
Yeah, I agree with him. His heroes were terrible.
Probably not going to use you. To attack. He's my main
yeah.
guy.
Yeah, 500 kills by the end of 42 is pretty good for a level bomber. If I got 4 level bombers to 500 kills by the end of 42, I would be very happy.
I take him into just about every battle because he's very effective in what he does. I expect to get a second hero, and if possible, a third. But I don't. It's very difficult, and I don't see it on the Guderian difficulty. But I'll try. And my second guy that I will use got a +3 defense. And I like defense.
Yeah, the other mistake he made is he's buying these level bombers late. I buy my level bombers early and level them up early so that they have more of a chance to get kills. It does make a difference.
Because it makes them be able to take some damage, or put them in vulnerable positions and still come out relatively unscathed. Alright, so I plan on keeping him a Hinkle, Uber Hinkle. Plan on keeping him.
The other reason to avoid overstrengthening artillery by so much is so that you can give 4 points of overstrength to your level bombers. They're very expensive, and that will hit your soft cap pretty hard, so you have to compensate for that elsewhere in your core.
An Uber Dornier, and As far as upgrades, I think I discussed them all. He will stay as Doog.
Okay, that's my review of his army overview. Let me know what you think. Are people more interested in this kind of stuff? Like, do you want me to look at the way he played a map or something and offer my insights? I think that would be more challenging though, because I'd have to like pause at exact moments when an attack was happening.